Salutations, fellow nerds. I'm Rick Y, and today is October 30th, 2025. We've normalized so much abnormal that it's actually getting kind of hard to clock what's genuinely dystopian, so let's name it. But first, credit where it's due. A bunch of you reached out to me about Graham Platner, his candidacy, and that whole tattoo debacle. If I lived in Maine, I'd be torn between my principles and my expectation. What he's pitching sounds good for Mainers, and if he stands for what he says he stands for, he may well be the better choice, but supporters need to brace for endless tu quo quid whataboutism storms. I was skeptical. I heard you, and I've adjusted. Evidence moves me. It should move us all. But now, to the bigger picture. We're heading into the annual stretch where Americans usually put down their political swords, pass the stuffing, and pretend that we don't hate each other's playlists. Thanksgiving kind of melts into Christmas around here. Reason for the season speeches crank up, and then we sprint to the stores before cranberry sauce even gets a chance to set. The values talk rarely matches the values walk. Case in point, reports out of Portland about a food drive set up for folks slammed by the shutdown being raided by ICE. People tried to eat and power tried to make a point. If that contradiction doesn't bother you, your values might be on airplane mode. Meanwhile, the same crowd preaching family values is cheering on a creeping militarized police state. Farmers and ranchers here in America are sold down the river while rumors of regional military moves towards Venezuela and maybe even Colombia keep simmering. Some folks still think tariff checks are going to come in the mail, not realizing that those tariffs were paid by, drumroll, us. If anything comes back, it's a refund, not a stimulus. And on the Hill, Mike Johnson is slow-rolling basic governance while dodging daylight on the Epstein documents. And the shutdown gets blamed on anyone but the people who are actually holding the switch. And the new boogeyman? This idea that immigrants are somehow draining more than our entire healthcare budget when the real crisis is that everyday Americans can barely afford healthcare that we are already receiving. And talking to Christian nationalists is exhausting. Too often the policy goal seems less like love thy neighbor and more like punish the neighbor that I just refuse to meet. Government help is socialist handout right up until it's a bailout for the constituency that they like. Economically, interest rates tick down not because we're thriving, but because people who set them think spending might stall while wages sag, jobs wobble, and costs just continue to rise. I've been making videos for a year now, and my read is simple. Things feel worse, and a lot of conservatives quietly agree, not out loud, not because they love being wrong, but because breaking ranks gets you excommunicated. And nobody wants to be treated the way their faction treats the other side. Leftists have been called Marxist, fascist, communist, Nazi, Satanists. Pick your slur, any slur. And some folks will just see the parallels to history's ugliest chapters after the damage is beyond denial. A year ago, a hurricane hit the Carolinas. FEMA pre-staged resources. Biden got blamed for not doing enough anyway. Fast forward, and we had multiple disasters this year. Federal responses missed the mark, and suddenly the outrage is it's got a curfew. It had to go home. I'm sorry. So if there was a TLDR all cleanly wrapped up, it would be this. I don't care about your whataboutism. Republicans hold the levers of every branch of government. Immigrants are being ripped from their communities, marginalized people are being scapegoated, racists feel empowered, poor people are getting poorer, and while all of that is happening, you're being told to wait for a check that you knew was never coming. How many times does the government have to uppercut you right in the dick before you admit that we're all getting played? I don't care who you voted for. What are you going to do about it now? How far are you going to let this administration wipe its boots on everything that you claim to value? If you're conservative and you plan on to just lighting me up in the comments, start here. I began this video by admitting when I was wrong because I was mature and man enough to do it. What's your line? At what point, policy, principle, pocketbook, do you say enough is enough? I was wrong. Anyways, if you made it this far, thanks for thinking instead of reacting, and y'all come back now. You hear?